So today I'm at a CarMax, and here at this CarMax today you can buy this used 2021 TRD Pro 4Runner with 15,000 miles for $58,998. Or you can drive about 10 minutes down the road and buy this new 2023 TRD Pro 4Runner from a Toyota dealer for $400 less. And I've been to this Toyota dealership and they are not adding on any crazy dealer markup. So what would you rather do? Buy a brand new one from a Toyota dealership or buy a 2-year-old Toyota 4Runner for more money from CarMax? And as you can see behind me in this field of cars, they are loaded to the brim with overpriced inventory. So much so that they're actually having to park cars long ways in the aisles. So CarMax really has a problem, and they're getting to a point where they've just got too much inventory that they've got too much money into, and they're trying to sell it for way too much. So that's why they're having so many issues right now selling cars. It's just they're just too much money. So these ridiculously high prices that CarMax has been charging and is charging right now is actually the plan. This is what CarMax wants to do. See, their revenues are way down right now, and that just means that they're selling way less cars, but that's exactly what they want to do. They want to focus on a per unit profitability, keep their margins up, sell less cars, and try to make more money per car. So in the last quarter, CarMax's net income fell a whopping 57%. That's absolutely astronomical as far as a publicly traded company is concerned. But their profitability per car actually went up 3.7%. So what does that tell you? That tells you they're trying to sell a lot less cars and they're trying to make a lot more per car when they actually do sell these vehicles. So now on a per unit basis, last quarter they actually made $2,277 per unit sold. Overall, the total vehicles sold was down 13%. So as a consumer, what do all these numbers tell you? They're going to tell you that if you come buy a used vehicle at CarMax, they are going to charge you a premium for it. That is their design. They are overall trying to sell less cars than they have been, and they're trying to make more per unit. They're trying to make more on you as a customer. And really, that's why we're seeing all these vehicles right here. They're charging way more for these vehicles, and you know what? They're having a hard time selling them because people just can't afford them. And CarMax knows that affordability is an issue, and it's a problem, and it's one of their headwinds going forward. They even listed that as an issue that they know that they're going to have to continuously deal with as we push on through this downtime in our economy. So what they have stated, and they said this last quarter, is that they actually pulled back from running ads to buy vehicles because they know that car prices are going to come down. Now, they're not lowering their prices in any effect right now, but they know that the overall market, the trend is going to be down. So they're not wanting to buy as many cars right now as they had in the past because, one, they know they're not going to be able to sell them. They're trying to make more per car because they know that their sales are down and they're going to be down. And they know that if they buy cars right now and they can't move them in a timely manner, then the value of those vehicles are just going to go down over time. So as they can't sell them going forward, the longer they keep them, the lower these values are going to be. So this is just a massive red flag for the used car market in general, just because if the biggest player in the market is saying, hey, you know what? In our data, we see that we don't really want to be buying that many more cars. We know that we're not going to be selling that many more cars. So we need to try to hit home runs. We need to try to make as much money on a per car basis of the customers that actually can afford to buy a car right now. That's just throwing up alarms to the used car market, saying we are going into a slow time. We're in a slow time right now. We're seeing it as their sales decline, as they're starting to shore up themselves. They've even added some loan loss provisions for their financing too, because they know people are going to start defaulting. They're already defaulting now. Repos are going to go up even for CarMax. I've seen this at their auctions. I'm a used car dealer. I go to these CarMax auctions, and we're seeing exactly what they're saying. We're seeing the repos go up, and what we're also seeing is that they have a ton of less cars that are actually coming through the auction, because they're not buying as many, and two, they're not getting very many trade-ins. And the reason that they're not getting a lot of trade-ins is because they're not selling a lot of cars. So when someone's coming to buy a car, they typically will trade in one of their older cars that they're driving now to upgrade. But they're not doing it right now because the cars that are any good, they're just keeping them. They don't want to sell those cars, or they don't want to trade them in and upgrade and get this massive new monthly payment. So they're going to keep their car. They're not going to buy it from CarMax because it's too expensive. And that's why CarMax is getting a lot less trade-ins, and just their auctions. I would say the one that I typically go to, it usually would run about 400 to 500 cars about a year and a half ago. And now they're lucky to get 200 cars. So that's 50% of what they were running just a year and a half ago. So massive shifts are happening for CarMax. CarMax is seeing it, and it's in the whole used car market right now. So now just on the wholesale side, their wholesale numbers were down 19%. Now, used cars at auction are still bringing a premium. They're still way up. But as we're going to see these wholesale values go down, and as they're not taking in as many trade-ins and they're not buying as many cars, we're going to continue to see that wholesale number from CarMax just keep creeping down and down and down and down. So in CarMax's report, they have actually listed 4 headwinds that are going to be a problem for their company going forward. Number one, and this is one for every company across the country right now, and that's inflation. So everything costs more. Consumers are getting pinched, so they have less money to spend. They are less confident to be able to buy more expensive purchases, like a expensive used vehicle from CarMax. So everything costing more is just putting a big damper on the consumer to be able to purchase anything that they would not necessarily just need. Interest rates are a huge problem. So with interest rates being as high as they are, they cause monthly payments to be as high as they have ever been on used vehicles right now. And with inflation, that kind of goes hand in hand. If they're having to pay more for their used vehicle, they're not going to be able to afford to buy these other things. So instead of buying a used vehicle from CarMax, they might go down to a smaller used car dealer that's going to charge way less. A car dealer maybe like me that's going to be able to sell them a $3,000, $4,000 car instead of buying one of these $20,000, $30,000 used overpriced vehicles from CarMax. So that's going to be one big problem that CarMax faces, is just the monthly payments and the interest rates that these customers are able to get. Customer confidence is a big issue right now, because a lot of people think negatively of what the economy is going to turn into in the next 12 months. And a lot of people are they're saving up money if they have the ability to do that. Now everything costs more, so the ability to save is less. But as we know, most people, they spend like drunken sailors. They want to buy stuff. If they have money, they want to spend it. But right now, people who are more apt to do that, they're actually more likely to save in an environment like right now, as they look towards the horizon and see that, yeah, you know what, maybe the economy is not doing so well. Maybe the direction that we're going in, maybe I'll lose my job. Maybe my business won't do as well. Maybe I'll be making less money because it just looks bad. And that's going to hit consumer confidence. And when consumer confidence is hit, people don't upgrade their cars. They stay in the ones that are running right now. And the last issue that they really talk about, and this is a biggie, is that there's been tighter lending standards. So people are less likely to be able to get approved for loans. And I'm seeing that just talking to a lot of my buddies that have bigger used car lots. The banks are getting tighter and not allowing people that may have been qualified before 6 months ago, that they're not qualified now. And that's just taking buyers out of the system, and taking buyers out of the system for these more expensive vehicles like CarMax, because most people that are coming into CarMax to buy a car, they're not bringing their own financing. They are not paying cash for these vehicles. They need to be able to finance them through CarMax. And if the banks are getting tighter, and if it's getting harder for them to get loans for these vehicles, then that's just going to take buyers out of the market. And buyers out of the market means, again, CarMax is going to sell less cars. All right, now, so what are the problems for CarMax? Interest rates, crushing demand. I've already talked about that. prices, they're too high, they're crushing demand, and CarMax is leading right now in higher prices. That's what they're trying to do. They're not trying to lower the prices for the consumer. They're trying to shore up, they're trying to make more per unit, and when they do that, prices are going to be higher and the demand for their product is going to be crushed. Now the big problem is prices are still high on the wholesale level. So CarMax still has to source their vehicles from somewhere. They can't just stop buying cars. I know they want to buy less of them, but they have to buy cars still to be able to roll some new inventory in and out of their system. And the prices that they have to pay, even when customers bring them cars and don't buy one themselves, they're still having to pay top dollar for these cars because the wholesale market has not come down yet. It's starting to trend down, but it's still elevated relative to history. So CarMax is having to pay more for vehicles, meaning that they're going to have to sell them for more if they want to make the profits that they're wanting to make on them. So now here's the biggest problem that I see CarMax running into in 6 months, in 12 months, is that what if used car prices start to tank? What if they go down in a meaningful way? I still think that they're going to go down. No crash. I don't think that because we don't have enough inventory, but I do think we're going to keep trending down. And if that happens and they get to the point where they're 20% lower than here, if they get to the point where they're 30 or 40% lower than here, even if it doesn't happen quickly, if CarMax isn't selling cars quickly, then they could get stuck holding the bag on a lot of these vehicles, especially if they're reluctant to lower their prices, which we have already seen that's what they don't want to lower their prices. There's a lot of other companies out there that are slashing cars. We're seeing Jeep, Dodge, Ram, we're seeing them actually start adding incentives. We're seeing them start to slash their prices. If CarMax is not willing to do that and want to keep their prices high, if the market trends down and it goes down in a meaningful way, they're going to get stuck, and they're going to get stuck. You saw that lot back there. They are full to the brim of vehicles. If they get stuck in all those cars, they're going to lose a ton of money if the market corrects in a meaningful way and they're not making changes to prepare for that market correction. So now what would I recommend to you as a consumer? So if you're looking to buy a used vehicle, I would recommend that you wait. I think prices are coming down later on this year. But if you are wanting to buy a car right now and you just want ease and you don't really care what it costs, CarMax is easy. So you can go in, you can look at tons of different makes and models. The cars are going to be good and you'll be able to buy a car, but you're going to pay a premium. If you want to save money though, you need to shop around. And always, before you buy any vehicle, I don't care if you buy it from CarMax, I don't care if you buy a used vehicle from a franchise dealer and it's certified used, I don't care if you buy a car from me, I don't care if you buy a car from your mother. Get the car checked out by your mechanic before you buy it. I want you to know exactly what you're buying before you buy it. That's the best way to be safe, is by getting a professional to check it out before you purchase the vehicle. And you know what? I think CarMax eventually is going to have to change their ways. They're going to have to start lowering prices because they can't deal with quarter after quarter after quarter of showing these massive negative incomes. And they also can't go quarter after quarter after quarter showing they're selling less and less and less cars. At some point, there's going to be the tipping point and they're going to have to say, you know what, we got to sell more cars because our shareholders are not going to be happy about this, and they're going to have to start lowering prices and showing some cars rolling out of the system.